This is pretty cool. If you're doing something to honor the centenary of British ice hockey, then you certainly want to have some centenary honorees. They didn't go about this lightly. There were a total of 24 candidates who were looked at by the final adjudicators, and they narrowed it down to 12 people. And we are going to honor those 12 people tonight, people who have made significant contributions to British ice hockey over the years. Again, you could go on probably at length about any of them. I'll just give a very brief synopsis. In no particular order, the gentleman who I want to start with, and we'll ask each of the honorees, when your name is called, please come up. We have a token of our appreciation for you. Sponsors want to shake your hand, and you'll get a nice round of applause as well, I'm sure. The first gentleman is referred to, I'm lucky enough to be sitting with him, the sport's unofficial historian in this country. Vast collection of British ice hockey memorabilia, quite likely rivaled pretty much anywhere, including the Hockey Hall of Fame. His two books, Homes of British Ice Hockey and the British Ice Hockey Hall of Fame, detail the places and the personalities of the game. The former earned him an Outstanding Writing Award and Research Award from the Canadian-based Society for International Hockey Research, a country where they take their hockey research very seriously. An honorary member of Ice Hockey Journalists UK, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Martin C. Harris. The next gentleman has been a director of Kirkcaldy Ice Rink Limited since February of 1979. He became the chairman of that rink in 1991. The position put him in charge of the famous Fife Flyers, who celebrated, just going to say, not the only anniversary being celebrated this year. Fife Flyers celebrating, what, their 75th anniversary, is that right? A long-established team here in the UK. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Muir, Sr. The next gentleman has edited, compiled, and published the Ice Hockey Annual since 1976, an unbroken series of 38 editions, which is right up there, I would think, in terms of a record for annuals in almost any sport. Certainly ice hockey in this country, it would stand alone. He was an administrator and founding member of the Southern League, the Intercity League, and the English Ice Hockey Association during the 1970s and 80s. Ladies and gentlemen, Stuart Roberts. Stewart. Stewart Roberts. Ever so sorry about the pronunciation. The next gentleman is the chairman of the National Ice Centre in Nottingham. Since 2001, the NIC has been the home of the finals weekend, great tournament, originally for the Super League and later on, of course, for the Elite League. A great sports enthusiast, he is on the main board of Sport England and the chairman of their project board. Ladies and gentlemen, R. Michael Stevenson, OBE. Our next honoree toiled tirelessly and mostly unsungly as the secretary of the BIHA, serving both under Bunny Ahern and Frederick Meredith. She's greatly respected throughout the sport in this country, being not only a member of Britain's Hall of Fame, but also being recognized by the IIHF with their Paul Loik Award, which is awarded to people who make outstanding contributions to international ice hockey. I can only be speaking of one person, Pat Marsh. Well done, Pat. The next gentleman, actually the gentleman's son, front and center for, really would have to be acknowledged by anyone who follows the sport to be Britain's finest hour in terms of ice hockey. It was the high water mark, hasn't been equaled. It'll be a while before it ever is again, I would guess. He led his team to Triple Crown in the ice hockey world: Olympic, World, and European titles. In 1936, he also skippered the 1935 national side when they won a bronze medal at the World Championship. What an accomplishment when you think back to that, for Great Britain to do that, the triple. Renowned as a gentlemanly defenseman, set an example to all of fair play, common sense, encouraged men to play with style and class, went on to coach GB at the 48 Olympics, and refereed in the 1950 World Championships in London. He served on the BIHA from the early 1930s and was a vice president of the governing body from 1936 until the late 1970s. He is, of course, in the British Ice Hockey Hall of Fame and was inducted back in 1950. Carl Erhardt is the man, and a pleasure to welcome his son, Kit, to accept. Well done. I don't know about, probably most of you are in the same boat, but if you got a chance to look at the memorabilia over in that room, and I'd never seen, that close up, the sweater, the jersey, the gold medal, the program from the 1936 Olympics. That was very, very special to see something like that. What an incredible accomplishment. I know the guys in the Hall of Fame were sniffing around looking for a donation at some stage. Our next Centenary honoree is a gentleman whose first taste of the sport came in 1979 as a member of the board of the Kirkcaldy Ice Hockey Club. I tried. And since then, he has been an ever-present Scottish ice hockey, an ever-present person in Scottish ice hockey, holding many important posts in the sport north of the border, including 2 terms as chairman of Scotland's governing body. He was the chairman of Ice Hockey UK in 2000, a particularly difficult time for the governing body, as many will recall. More recently, he's worked closely with others on establishing a strong relationship with the Dumfries and Galway Council. This has resulted in the town staging 3 World Championship groups, including the one this week. Jim Anderson. The only Brit in the modern era to have competed at the highest level of the World Championship as a netminder and a referee, a winner of numerous trophies with the Murrayfield Racers. Not quite as loud as the Fife guys, but not bad. He was Britain's first choice keeper in the 1994 World A-Pool Championship. I was actually lucky enough to be at that championship, and I remember the team. He retired as a player, and he took up officiating. He refereed in 6 consecutive World Championships, culminating in 4 Elite Division games in 2004. Moray Hanson.
Congratulations.
Hey, the Scots are stylish, eh? How about those trousers? Man. I know. The next guy was president of the BIHA from 1982 until 1998, perhaps the busiest period the sport has ever known in this country. Thanks to his influence, ice hockey acquired 3 blue-chip sponsors: Heineken, Norwich Union Insurance, and Benson and Hedges. These led to the game's first regular TV coverage on the BBC's Grandstand show and later on Sky Sports, and of course the memorable Wembley weekends. Also under his watch, that in 1994, GB's senior team that I was just speaking of a few moments ago made their only appearance of recent times in the A-Pool World Championship. He was a netminder, captain of the Cambridge University ice hockey team, life member of the world governing body of the sport, the International Ice Hockey Federation, and a man who loves to wax eloquently about the high water marks in British ice hockey, Frederick Meredith. Funny, just a note about Fred. I was interviewing him for a story that I'm working on for the International Ice Hockey Federation website. And as much as Fred likes to talk about the past, the thing he wanted to talk about the most was the future. He's all about pushing the sport forward in this country, which, interesting observation from a guy who's received an award for the past and what he has done. The next gentleman has been a driving force behind the enormous growth and development of the English Ice Hockey Association ever since his election as chairman of the body in 1986. Former player and a former referee as well. American Ken was the owner of the first ice hockey club at Oxford before taking over as rink manager at Milton Keynes in 1990. Ladies and gentlemen, Ken Taggart.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately Ken can't be with us this evening, and he's asked me to accept the trophy, and his last words to me was to tell the audience to say, "Cool man."
Our next honoree, easily one of the most respected officials in the country, and without a doubt, the most respected female referee. A regular official in the English Premier League, she's worked at 2 Winter Olympic tournaments, 2006, 2010, and getting ready for another one, yes? Yes, thumb up. Getting ready for a third. A couple of Olympic qualifying rounds as well, 5 Women's World Championships, several Women's European Cups. Joy Johnston, or Tottman.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks.
And finally, but certainly not lastly, a guy who has been described to me as aptly the sports go-to guy in this country, willing to take on any number of challenging admin posts. He's currently the General Secretary of Ice Hockey UK. He's served in that position since 2003. He first became involved with the game 30 years ago as Peterborough Pirates equipment manager. That's starting at the bottom and working your way up. And he has since managed teams at club and national levels, including several world championships, which earned him wide respect nationally, and I can assure you internationally as well. Andy French. I'd now like to call upon Jim and Mohammed to come up, and they have a special presentation that they want to make to a very special person.
Thanks, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you one question. Are you having a wonderful evening? Well, it wouldn't have come about unless it had been for one particular person who I can tell you had the vision of creating the beautiful environment that we're at. If it hadn't been for that person, we would have never got the idea of having a 100-year dinner, whose absolute dogged determination to put Jim and I and Andy in our places on many occasions, and without whose kind and determined assistance, we would not be able to have this dinner. Jim, I leave you the honours to let the world know who that person is.
Come on up, Katie Ferguson.
So Katie, on behalf of Ice Hockey UK, we'd like to present you with a token of our appreciation. We know you enjoy your alcoholic beverages, so we thought this was an apt glass, and it's engraved with the tournament and the Ice Hockey UK logo, and of course, her town of Dumfries. Congratulations and thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Can we hold you, please, so you can get down? Yeah.